Welcome back to another episode on Journey to Authenticity, a podcast helping you to become fully authentic on your journey to success. I'm your host, Braiden Belnap, and I'm a human just like you, striving to build a dream life, all while I stay true to myself. But what if you're in a position of feeling stuck? You're not exactly sure exactly where you want to go in yourself, within your personal development, your relationships, or your business. That's exactly why we have Dan Young joining us today. He's a phenomenal CEO here in Utah over PC laptops and other various companies. He's accomplished results that, quite frankly, people dream of. Today, he's just not here to talk about his goals. He's here and his businesses. He's here to talk to you about how you can build your own dream, how you really can start to build your life, your relationships, and that business to get you unstuck and moving towards the life that you truly dream of. With that in mind, welcome to the show, Dan.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Just to jump right into things, what initially inspired entrepreneurship and soon grew into crypto, to say the least?
So entrepreneurship started in California, when I was a kid. We were talking about your story when you were younger. When I was like 15 or something, got into huge trouble, doing bad things with bad friends. I went to juvenile hall for a while and got to sit alone in a room for a while. And I came to some realizations. And the big one was, energy is energy, Whether you're doing bad things or good things, that energy directed towards bad or good is the same energy. And it's a fine line between, good and evil. And so if you can direct that energy towards good things, then it's long-term sustainable. So luckily I learned that when I was a little kid, made those breakthroughs. So that's kind of like the big breaking point, to become an entrepreneur. And then, of course, I don't know if you guys know my story, but moved to Utah from California after all that fiasco as a teenager, and then started a computer company and started selling lots of computers and tech in the early 90s. And that turned out to be pretty good. And then crypto came about because in 2014, we built the biggest Bitcoin mining facility in Utah, learned a lot of crypto, and then a lot of wealthy people and clients were asking me, man, what should I buy? And I'd be like, well, I'm buying this, I'm buying that. I don't know what you should buy, but this is what I'm buying. And they made a ton of money. And so met my business partner at the Ugly Unicorn, Bridger Pennington. His dad, his hedge fund now is, I think, over 40-something billion dollars. And he's like, you guys should do it, but instead of real estate, crypto. So we launched that in 22, and here we are today.
That's the way to go.
Yeah.
PC Laptops. So PC Laptops was your first company, is that right?
Yep.
That's amazing. You're still going strong.
Still going.
Did you find success in that the first year, or did that take a couple of years to really find success in?
What happened is the company I was working for before PC Laptops, they were like an electronics store, and they went out of business. So I got my database of all my customers I sold computers to and cold called them. And I said, hey, I'll adopt your warranty so you're not, stuck in a hard spot. And the first year when we adopted the warranties as PC Laptops, I lost over $25,000 in the red. But the next year it was crazy. People returned the love, and we did over $1 million in revenue. That second year we made a lot of money. First year lost a lot of money.
It's pretty stressful for you?
Yeah, my wife was really stressed out because she was like, well, what are you doing here? But she believed in me and, kept me going. So it worked out.
That's the way to go. In entrepreneurship, you got to see the reality, right? Yeah. Whatever's at hand, but you also got to see the potential.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what it takes, is being that visionary, seeing the unknown.
Yeah.
You make the unknown known, to say the least. You
don't have to actually be, fearing the unknown. I just spoke at this thing yesterday. It was called the Fail Fest or something. And it talks about entrepreneurs' failures. But entrepreneurs, a lot of people say you have to fail over and over again, which is rubbish. You really don't. We went like over 30 years without a year of ever losing money, made money every single year, 3 decades through downturns and upturns. And a lot of people ask what the secret is to that as an entrepreneur. And it's just be friends with old people that are great entrepreneurs for decades and run the ideas by them. And they'll tell you how to do it so you don't have to fall on your face as much. Doesn't mean you won't fall on your face. But if you have like wise old Jedi telling you what to do, a few of them, you're probably going to be fine. Because if they're worth $1 billion or $300 million, and you want to make 20 million bucks, 20 million comes like that.
Because they already know what to do.
They give you the instruction manual. It's like the answers to the test are written on the chalkboard. Just ask the teachers. And they're cool. They'll give it to you. In real life, they just give it to you. Yeah, but most people are just too scared to ask or too stubborn, and they want to invent it themselves or, do some sort of weird, it's got to be my way, Frank Sinatra song, my way. It's like, why? Drop your pride, open your wallet, listen to the old people, you'll be rich. Execute, it's not hard.
So was there any time in your career where you were egotistical or not wanting to ask for help?
No. And the reason, because when I, was a juvenile, I got in big trouble. I lost everything. I had nothing, zero. I came to Utah with $50. And when I was working in the mall at Radio Shack, luckily this old man came in and I fixed his radio. And he goes, how much do I owe you? I'm like, oh, nothing, man. It's just a fuse. And he said, hey, do you need a mentor? And I said, what is that? How does that work? He goes, well, let's go get lunch. Let's go get some Chinese food. I like Chinese food. You probably like Chinese food. Chinese, right? So I'm like, okay. And I go, what do you do for work? And he goes, well, I sold my company for $2.2 billion. And now I just walk around the mall to get steps because I'm retired. And, I'm walking here anyway. If you want, we can grab lunch every week and I'll buy and teach you what I know. And within 4 years of meeting that man, I made $1 million. He just told me what to do. It was like, and I was too dumb maybe to question it because I was working the mall for minimum wage. I'm like, what can I lose? This old guy's cool. He's a computer guy. He's going to teach me,
I like computers.
Yeah. Like, why not? So it was like free. And maybe God sent him, to teach me to maybe, and that's why I like to help other entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
Because he never charged me a dime and he was always buying lunch. Now I like to buy him food once in a while, but
Is he still around where you still get to go to lunch with him?
Still friends. Yeah. Old guy. So it's good.
Yeah. I assume you pay for the lunch now.
I try to, but he's turned his, in the 90s, he had that kind of money, so now it's, in the billions. So
Absolutely.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what, and hey, I'm sure he's still a mentor to this day. So who knows?
Yeah.
In no time, I'm sure you'll be at that B.
Yeah. Working on it.
That's the way to go. Is that a goal for you? Or do you not necessarily?
Yeah. Over $1 billion, I think is a reality. It doesn't seem that far-fetched because I have so many people that that are my friends and acquaintances that have done it. So it's not that hard. It's just
a matter of time.
Well, executing, velocity with verification and clear goal setting and, scaling. So it's doable. But at this point, it's not about money. It's about improving myself and gathering more resources so I can help more people. That's the cause. Because at a certain point, I think maybe once you make, $500,000 a year, how much more can you eat? How many more vacations can you take? How many more cars do you want to drive? It doesn't matter. The material things are fun and neat and cool as a trophy, but the reality things, they don't bring happiness. Giving and mentoring and helping is a way to bring, I think, at least for me, happiness, because you're passing it forward.
Absolutely. So did you, obviously you reached that point. Was that what? I thought this was going to bring me happiness.
Yeah. Well, the first was hitting $1 million. I had $1 million sitting in stocks and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, but I felt no different. So the $1 million didn't feel, hitting the number is cool, but then it's more like, once I started approaching that, I already set my goals higher. I'm like, well, let's go for 5. Let's go for 10. Let's go for 20. You just keep upping the bar because it's almost like a video game. You can't play the same level over and over. Otherwise it gets boring. You want to keep leveling up, and then helping young people have these breakthroughs, is incredible. Like my business partner, Bridger, he's 29 and he makes good money by himself, probably over $1 million a year from his businesses, And I'm like, let's do a startup. Let's see in the next 5 years if we can make a few $100 million. And every day when we have our little scrum meeting, he's like, dude, can't believe it. This is crazy, But it's not just my doing or his doing. His father, John Pennington Jr., is one of our mentors, and he's just like, yeah, it's easy. You kids are going to break $1 billion. You guys, it's easy. And this is a guy who's, managed over $40 billion. So it's or $28 billion when he retired, and now it's $45 billion or something. I don't know the exact today, but he's like, it's not that hard, So it's just, I guess, your mindset of where your level is and what you're what restraints you put on yourself. That's the thing.
Absolutely. So, I mean, taking it back a step, I know you went to juvenile hall. Was that the last moment that you got in trouble and your life transformed? Or what was the process to overcoming your past?
Well, yeah, because I was in there for a bit. So that was like free detox from drinking and partying and doing all the stupid teenager things, you know? And that was not only detox, it was free rehab. But it was a time to think and realize and have nothing. So it centers you.
Was there anything that you believe caused for that bad behavior, or was it just choices?
Bad behavior was out of boredom. It's just energy. So it's like you got a lot of energy. You're 15 years old, and that's how old it was. And you want to do something. Now, if you're stuck in this like slave school, which is public schooling, and you're being taught to sit, be quiet, blah, 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 just listen to this teacher who barely makes 30 grand a year back in the day. How's this 30 grand a year person going to teach me to be a millionaire? They're not, right? And so I just decided school is just garbage. You know, I finished it, but it was still garbage. And it's basically a slave indoctrination. How do you be a slave, a working class slave forever? And I refused to be that because I saw a lot of my relatives do that. And they end up getting a master's degree from UCLA and USC and all this junk. And I make 100 times more than they do. And a lot of my other cousins do and friends do that refuse to be a slave. You know, have you seen Gladiator and the new Gladiator?
I haven't, no.
You should watch that. Yeah, it's just to be free, not be controlled in that box, you know. And I love it. It's fun. I wouldn't trade for anything.
So and obviously you were born, what I'm hearing is you were born to be an entrepreneur, to say the least.
No, I wasn't. No, not born to. I was born to be a slave, but then I had a realization that I will not be one. And I watched my parents be slaves to corporate America. My mom worked for a bank. My dad worked for a big publicly traded company. And I watched that. But then I watched my uncle start a bank. He came from China with zero back in the 40s. And he made $700 million in 15 years. And I was like, how can this Chinese man who doesn't speak English, who became an immigrant and became an American citizen, make almost $1 billion in like very short amount of time? And I talked to him and he's just like, don't be a slave. So I was like, wow, okay. I want to be like that uncle, you know? And he's helped a lot. He gives so much to charity and taught people and mentored people and, you know, made something out of nothing.
There's always that cool uncle that you look up to.
But I love my dad, dude. Great guy. And, you know, and I was reading my dad's diary. He documented his life. And his biggest regret is, you know, not learning financial literacy. Yeah, because he was an artist. So he just liked to draw, but he didn't spend too much energy learning those things. And my daughter and I were reading that journal together. And she's like, wow, I'm glad you're teaching me this stuff. And I'm like, well, you know, earlier you start, the better chance you have, right? More chance to fail and win and, you know, learn and prevent failures, you know, execute.
Absolutely. So then you obviously came to Utah, started working at the Radio Shack it was in the mall.
Yeah.
And the mentor came up to you.
Yeah.
Was that your first seed of entrepreneurship or was it your uncle?
No, my first entrepreneurship was when I was in California. I set up a t-shirt sunglass stand and we'd hire hot girls from our high school to put on roller skates and bikinis. And what they would do is on Venice Beach, they would roll up to people with a mirror and be like, you need sunglasses? So they'd look for people without sunglasses, right? Do you need sunglasses? You need sunglasses? Here, try these on. And they're cute girls. So they'd say, they look good on you, bro. You know, or if it was a girl and a guy, they'd let the girl try it on first and the guys, hey, it looks good on you guys. You guys are a cute couple. You get two of them for $15 or $10. And they'd be like, okay. So we would make $1,000 a day selling sunglasses. It wasn't that tough in California.
You know, it takes one idea. That's the cool thing about life in general, whether it's relationships or entrepreneurship, finances. You got to be right once.
Yeah.
And usually that'll catapult you into being right the second time and the third time and so on and so forth.
You can't fall for the slave training camp. What do they teach you to do? Get straight A's, graduate, apply to jobs, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of funny. I have two nieces and one of them is like, hey, I've got my master's degree or whatever, bachelor's degree, whatever degree she has. She went for like 6 years. She's like, I've applied to 100 jobs. I can't find a good job. I just want to make like 50 grand a year to start and then go from there. maybe 35, 40 grand, but I want to get in this thing. And I'm like, it's who you know, and if you're willing to go talk to them. And I'm like, why haven't you ever asked me? She's like, well, I won't bug you. So I call my friend. He has $3.5 billion under management in his hedge fund in real estate. I'm like, hey, what can I help you with? He goes, I need an assistant. And I'm like, whoa, I got a couple of nieces that are pretty smart. You should interview them. Don't hire them because of me, but if they're competent. And so they're interviewing with him now. And I told my nieces, I'm like, if you get hired by this guy, let's say you make 60, 70 grand a year to start, okay? If you're competent and you learn and you're around that kind of caliber of deals, though, you will make millions of dollars if you keep trying to figure it out and learn. And that's how you get a job. And the funny thing is, I asked my friend, do you care if they have a degree? He goes, no, well, that doesn't even matter. It's like, why? Do they have personality? Can they make things happen? Are they assertive? Are they strong? Are they smart? Are they proactive? Do they have clear goals? That's what they're looking for. So I believe college, unless you're a doctor, lawyer, CPA, is a total waste of time.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Anything else is based upon result.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned the personality. That's extremely important.
Yeah.
But it's also what can you show for yourself.
That's right. Yeah. But again, people want to be told what to do because they're trained in slave camp. Hence, they want to go to graduated slave camp to go to corporate slave and then die an old slave and get laid off at 50 years old because they're too old and be replaced by a 25-year-old guy for half the pay and then end up as a Walmart greeter because they didn't invest well for minimum wage. Sadly, that happens to the majority of Americans.
Unfortunately, that's just the truth.
That's crazy. Yeah.
You look at financial statistics and you get a knot in your stomach because you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like this was it's so easy. Like just start to invest a little bit of money here and there, just a little bit, and you will be better off than everybody else in the world.
True that.
Takes a very small amount of money.
Yeah.
So ultimately, you obviously won in the sunglass business, the PC laptops. What inspired crypto? What was like the light bulb in your head to say, okay, crypto's the next thing?
It was no light bulb. It was stupidity, actually, because our COO had bought too many graphic GPUs for computers, video cards. I'm like, why the hell did you buy all these, dude? He goes, well, there's going to be a shortage. And I'm like, I don't know if there's going to be a shortage. Well, there was no shortage. So we were sitting on so much inventory, we couldn't sell it. And I was like, dude, we're going to have to lose money on this and just liquidate it. We tapped our bank lines to finance these. And it's kind of scary. So this professor from the University of Utah was doing an experiment where they were going to teach kids how to Bitcoin mine in a lab. This is in 2014. So he gave me this USB key, and it had a hash algorithm. And what it did is it found the best coin to mine for the least amount of electricity automatically. So it scanned, say, this is which one. We were mining Dogecoin, which is funny, in 14. So I'm thinking, this Bitcoin thing maybe is something. So I told my COO, hook up every extra GPU we have and mine Dogecoin. So we hooked up 4,000 12-unit arrays, and we're just printing money. And it was good. So we got lucky. But I wasn't some innovator there. I had this professor. He's like, hey, this is cool. I had too much inventory. And I'm like, problem, solution. At least we can maybe break even, And luckily it turned out to be good.
And I'm sure you way over broke even.
Yeah.
But my assumption.
Fun times. Yeah.
Not just Bitcoin, but crypto overall has been very successful.
Pretty good. I think it's just starting too. So
it really is. The world's just starting to, not just like these individuals like yourself, the world's really starting to talk about it.
Yeah, the new president really loves it. And so if he buys it for the strategic reserves to like complement or replace gold, that'll be bonus.
Yeah, and then I'm sure that would make you happy too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have.
Yeah, so it's and you mentioned lucky, right? You weren't lucky. And I want to call out a lot, like the word luck. The only people that get lucky are the ones that work hard.
You create your own luck by you being aware of the opportunities and problems of solutions. You create your own luck by having clear goals and outcomes, right? You create your own luck by showing up, by scheduling your execution every day. You tend to get lucky when you do that. So it's almost an aura of energy you create by executing consistently. That's luck. You know, now if you just sit there and do nothing, $1 million probably is not going to jump into your pocket, right? But the harder you work and execute and the clearer your outcomes are and the more you actually outreach, you tend to get lucky. There are just amazing things that happen. Here's an example. I don't know if you call this luck or not. So I'm texting someone who's interested in investing in our hedge fund. And so I message this number, and I think it's this guy because that's the number I thought he gave me, but I put his number in my phone wrong, and I'm like, okay, so you want to give us $1 million to help grow? Cool. You have any questions? Let's walk you through it. And the guy's like, yeah, I'm super interested. Yeah, I'm super interested. Yeah, I'm super interested. I'm like, cool. Let's schedule a call. I'm like, and his name, I won't mention his name. I'm like, we'll use a sub name. Jeff. So we'll schedule on a Zoom call so we can go over the paperwork and talk to your lawyer and everything. And he goes, this isn't Jeff. This is Bill. And I'm like, Bill? I'm like, do I know you, Bill? He goes, yeah, you're Dan Young. And I'm like, Bill, and he goes, no, I follow you on social media, dude. I just was wondering how you got my number anyway, but I've been following you for 2 years. He's like, maybe I'll do $1 million or so. And this was a random number, like out of nowhere. And so I don't know, would you call that luck or effort or what? I don't know.
I think it comes down to the fact that you were working hard and an opportunity presented itself and you executed.
Wrong number, though.
Right.
Whole pitch, whole spiel. Anonymous human being.
Luck comes from hard work, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right? That's definitely lucky.
That was a zinger, man. We're like, this is weird.
We'll take your money.
Yeah. So hopefully, you know, like we help him and we help him do well and we make him happy.
Absolutely. And with that, though, right, that luck would have never came your way if you weren't working hard.
Yeah, you got to execute. So.
And that's the trick, is there's so many people out here looking at you or other people like, oh, they just got lucky. They just had that one guy walk into the mall and offer them help. No, you said yes to that lunch. You said yes to all of these things that led up to this one moment.
Well, here's the thing. Let's say you work at my daughter's first job is GameStop, right? And mine was like the mall thing, one of the first ones here. And if you help every customer, like, you know, really want to help them, even if you're working at the mall, you're going to have a lot of opportunities presented to yourself. You're going to meet some cool people, you know, cool people walk in the mall and buy stuff or wherever you are. And if you make a good impression and you ask them about what they do and they find out what you do, you may find an opportunity that way too.
Absolutely. So what's next? Cryptos, obviously you're working hard with that. You're working hard with PC laptops still. What's next for you? Is there anything?
The hedge fund is the big thing, the big scale. Real estate has always been something I've loved for 30 years. Stocks, obviously, are really, really fun. But in technology with PC laptops, I have Zydex also, which is our online computer company. We're selling a lot of computers for AI and game development, and movie studio development. So that's kind of fun because you meet a lot of cool people. And when you watch a movie or play a video game, you go, hey, that was made on our computers. That's kind of cool. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
That's good.
Is there any specific movie that you could call out that your computers were used to make it?
We're working on a lot right now, but some previous stuff is we've done some cool stuff with NASA, Tesla, Amazon, Facebook, different studios. Most of the games that you're playing, probably a good number of them are made on our computers. We have certain NDA on particular games because there's a preliminary release, so I can't talk about like that. But it's just cool to know, you know. Yeah. We've done a lot of computers for the Army, the Air Force as well, for military application. So just knowing you can help the world, you know, that feels good.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's exciting, right? Like someday the world's going to see this game and it's going to be big, and we were the ones that helped make that happen.
Yeah.
That's hats off to you. And again, it's just you took this one idea from PC laptops, from working at Radio Shack, to now just taking it to the next level, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Absolutely. So those are the big things for you. So essentially you're just building these. You've found the successful vehicle and you're just taking them to the next level.
Yeah, well, you just find new problems that people have to solve. Like right now for our hedge fund, a lot of people want to be into crypto, but they're afraid of getting scammed, or they're afraid of like using, you know, Coinbase or however, you know, they're doing it. and they just want some guidance. A lot of people with a lot of wealth are new to this crypto, just like when the internet was new back in the early 90s, right? And so they need someone who's experienced to be able to help them navigate that. And so that's a big problem, right? Just like in the early days, there was like stockbrokers, right? They're really popular because people needed guidance with stocks. Now you just go on your app and you can do it pretty seamlessly. But crypto is so new. There's so many bad projects, even on the apps. When you try to buy, it's like, well, which one? You know, I mean, Bitcoin, cool, but what else, you know? So,
Absolutely.
you know, and most people don't want to watch it all day. They don't want to spend 10 hours a day seeing what's good, reading the news about it. It gives them stress.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
More out of curiosity, would you ever take your companies public?
Yeah, you know, that's a possibility. Just depends if the stars align correctly as far as timing goes. I probably will sell off a couple of our companies. I have a lot of different companies now, and some are profitable, but so we keep them hanging around and we feed them and nurture them. But it's more about focus. So if one reaches a certain level, or maybe I've built it to where I feel like this is my maximum capability with this thing, then it's sometimes good to take public money, you know, to bring that next. Maybe they need a better CEO than me.
There's different types of CEOs, right? And it's once you get to this level, there's a right CEO for this fit, and then you take your company to this wealth. New CEO. I guess what I'm saying is there's different personality types for depending on how big the company is.
And some CEOs run better in publicly traded company situations because they're used to that playing field. Yeah, great. I don't have any experience with that, so I'm not going to pretend I do. But there's plenty of CEOs for hire. They're not entrepreneurs. Big difference between a president, CEO, entrepreneur, founder type of guy. You know, just a whole different mentality. Some of the guys you see like that are kind of anomalies are like Elon, right? Or, you know, or Zuck, right? Or Jeff Bezos. I mean, so if they have the ability to scale mentally into the public markets, that's a real gift. I haven't done that yet, so but I've scaled them pretty good in the private markets.
And it's what it takes, right? Different personality types. Sometimes, I mean, Jeff has stayed with it. Elon has stayed with it. There's a lot of people that will scale and just hire their CEO spot out too.
Yeah.
And just depends on what your cup of tea is, I guess. I don't think there's a right way to do things.
Yeah.
That's the
Depends.
cool thing about entrepreneurship is you go to the old guy that's already done it and say, would you do this again or would you do it different? And they give you the blueprint so you can be more successful quicker. Because you're going to pay with either money or time.
Yeah.
Which one is it going to be?
Right.
I like to pay with money because then I don't have to spend my time, which is the only resource I can't get more time of. And I'd rather give money to be able to learn more.
Or I tell people, go to a rich old folks home. It costs $10,000 a month to stay there, or $20,000 a month, and go hand out some candy and stuffed animals to have conversation with retired people. Some of these old folks homes, like the ones my parents were at before they passed away, there's retired 5-star generals there, ex-CEOs, and they're bored. They just want someone to talk to because their kids are douchebags and don't visit them. We'll go, bring them a nice little stuffed animal or snack and be their friend and ask them to tell you their life story and ask them for advice. You could literally go there every day and they'll talk to you. Endless mentorship. But yet all these people want to pay these fake gurus on Instagram all this money to teach them, and they haven't usually accomplished anything. Most of these guys, they're just selling a stupid course, which is garbage, right? It's like crazy. So what have you done in real life, dude?
That's the reality.
That's why I'm sometimes not popular with a lot of those guys, because I call them out. And I'm just like, dude, you just sell people courses on nothing for a living. Like, what is that going to do? Nothing.
Yeah, you got to go. I mean, we talked about jobs earlier, right? You got to go get the result before you actually are going to mentor somebody to get the result.
That's right. But then again, those guys are good. If they're teaching people how to sell courses, because they're selling courses, they could teach a course on selling courses.
Absolutely. They got that result.
That's right.
Hopefully they're just teaching people with actual value on how to sell the course.
That's right.
Absolutely. So from the very beginning, obviously you learned very valuable lessons. What are you still implementing in your strategy today to win on a year-to-year basis?
It's just clear financial, physical, and spiritual goals written down. Break that down to what actions need to happen to accomplish those things with a deadline. Schedule those on your phone, on your calendar, and execute every day. That's it. That's a solution. It's not hard.
So in other words, see where you're going, have clear goals, and schedule it and execute every day.
Yeah, be very clear though. Don't be ambiguous. Be very clear on the outcomes you want.
That's fair. It's when you have that gray area, you will negotiate with yourself. Oh, I guess I made it because actually, no. You have to be so specific. What about timeable? I mean, do you set a clear deadline of when you will accomplish a goal, or do you just allow that to play out because it'll happen in time through execution?
You can set, a deadline of making X number of dollars or drawing some certain thing, and then you just break that down by month, right? By year, by daily actions, by weekly actions, and you should have it so it pencils out mathematically. And if you miss it, then forgive yourself and keep executing, accelerate that. Sometimes you need to move your goals at the end of the year. You're like, well, I missed it by a little bit, or I way exceeded that, and then you reset, you adjust those goals. I wouldn't readjust them every day or anything.
That would be a pain.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So do you set yearly goals, quarterly goals, weekly goals, all of it? Or is there a specific time frame that you're always looking to execute with?
I set, 10-year type of goals, 5-year, and then yearly. So you have this super broad one, and you bring it down. And then I even looked at 20 years from now, and way down the road. So we'll see how long I live. And then I break it down by monthly action, weekly action, daily action.
Do you do that? I assume you do that on a personal level and a company level. Is that a fair assumption? Or
Well, each company is broken down on the goals. So if I have 6 different companies, each company has a goal of what I want them to achieve financially and things like that. And then you break each one down to a subsection. It takes some time, but you do it. It actually takes you less than a day.
if you do it efficiently, it will take you less than a day.
Anything. I mean, you just sit down and just do it. It'll take you a day for anybody.
And the best part about that is when it's done, and then you go execute.
Yeah, most people won't do it though. They'll just talk about it.
That's the truth. Why do you feel like that is? Like, if you were, through your experience in life, why do you think most people know goals are important but still don't execute them?
Because they were sent to slave school and they don't teach goal setting there. And 1% of people control 99% of the resources and wealth in the world, because most people aren't executors, they're slaves. 1%, less than 1% of the population leads the world. And most people enjoy being a slave because it doesn't require work to be told what to do.
Yeah, what is it to be the top 1% in America? What is it? You have to make maybe it's top 10%, like 450,000 a year.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a lot of money to a lot of people, but that's also not that much money to a lot of people. Nowadays, it's not. You're just starting to live. It seems like.
It's crazy.
So it's unfortunate, right? Because everybody deserves a good life. Let's be real. Everybody deserves to win.
Nobody deserves anything. You get what you earn. No one deserves anything.
No, you're right.
Nothing is a right. Most pain is self-inflicted. Most pleasure is self-inflicted. Most good things are self-inflicted. Most misery is self-inflicted. Not always.
Yes.
But a lot of it is.
In better terminology, everybody has the ability to have a really good life. Everybody has the ability to have good relationships, a good career, business, whatever you want to call it. You have to earn it.
Yes, right.
And it's a choice. That's all it comes down to is choices.
It's choice, right.
Everybody can take that day right now. Well, this will be coming out end of January.
Yeah.
Most people will have already given up on their quote-unquote New Year's resolutions that they drank too much champagne to set. Yeah. Realign yourself. Don't wait till the 2026 year, right?
Yeah, there's no New Year's resolution. It's a waste of time.
Me and you both. I already have my goal set for 2025.
Good.
I
want you to map out the next decade or two. That's better.
I love it. So you're be very specific across the next decade.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I have my life, what I want to accomplish in life. Then I have the next year mapped out. I'll just extend.
Just go 1 year. You can go 1 year, 5 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20 year, 30 years. Like picture yourself when you're old. Let's say you're like 60. And then just reverse engineer that. Like, what do you want to be at 60 and break that down reverse? So it's like, I want to be worth $1 trillion and I want to do this and help this many people and stable the starving children and the cats and the dogs. Okay. That's what you want to do. Sounds, but it's like you're 60, right? Then reverse engineer that.
That's fair. And so you're just doing exactly the next step by step to accomplish when you're 60.
Yeah, write your book now so you know how it's going to end. And you may get cut short, hit by a truck or something, but at least, during the time of your life, you're moving.
You're talking about a very rare occurrence. It happens, but in reality, it probably won't happen. And if it does, you're in a better place to also leave an impact on the people that you're around now.
You did your best while you're here. You've helped, you've done those things.
Of course, when did you start implementing this strategy? Did you see a plethora of a jump in that year that you started to implement that, or?
When I met the mentor. And in 4 years, I made $1 million. So, good.
That was his advice, is map out your life.
It's just simple.
It's crazy how simple it is. I mean, there's really not much more to talk about here. It's like, just go map out your life and go execute.
That's it. But most people won't do it. 99.9% of people that watch this won't do it. 99.9% of people who watch this podcast will be a slave the rest of their life. That's sad. But it's not sad. It's just what they choose.
It's choice. Everybody has the ability, like we talked about. You don't deserve it. You have the ability to go create a good life. What are you going to do with it?
Now, my hope is that, a lot of people who watch this will actually do it. Then that'll be wonderful. Then we didn't waste our time here, right?
Exactly.
And maybe we help some people.
Well, we go back to that one phone call, right? The person that's been following you for 2 years.
Yeah.
He got the wrong number.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's just that one person here that was lucky to click on this podcast.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to transform my life now. I don't need to wait a year. I don't need to wait 2. I don't even need to wait till next week. I can align time right now or this week or tomorrow to actually align with what I really want to be. And
just do it right now. Because if you say tomorrow, 10 years will go by, and then 20, and then 30. And soon you'll be a Walmart greeter who's retired broke, who has no bowel control, mental control, anything control, and can't afford a good place to have doctors and nurses take care of you when you're old. And if you do have children, they'll be struggling to try to pay your bills. And if you're a married dude, your wife probably left you for someone who can provide, marries them, has kids with them, and you're stuck as a Walmart greeter. That would suck, right?
You highlighted a lot of lives, unfortunately.
That happens, man. And it's so sad because nothing is totally preventable, but it's like for the, people out there that are 20, 30, 40, like 50 or whatever, they can still make a difference. Crazy stuff can happen though, but your odds are really good as long as you plan correctly and have goals and execute. But there's always curveballs in life.
Sure. Have you ever had any of those curveballs where it's almost put you, other than I forget what you call them, the technology where you turned into mining?
Yeah, you're going to have curveballs, that are scared stuff, but it's how do you pivot and contend with those things, Ultimately, if you keep yourself fairly healthy and mentally sound and you execute, you can recover from a lot of pain.
From a lot of the entrepreneurs that I've interviewed that have quote unquote made it, whatever that means to you, just some sort of financial success, they've been hit on the head, but they kept going.
Endurance is huge. You're going to get hit a lot. You just got to be very pain tolerant, and when bad things happen, you got to be awesome, cool. All right, how am I going to deal with it?
What's next?
Yeah.
How am I overcoming this? It's mapping out your decade to say, okay, I had this happen. How am I still going to accomplish that goal?
Yeah.
Because most people will get hit on the head and they'll say, all right, forget it.
Yeah. There's always rough roads. So, that's expected.
How are you going to pivot to still accomplish that goal of yours?
Yeah.
Are you not on track? How are you going to get on track? Are you just going to throw in the towel and give up like 99.9% of the world?
Yeah. It's easy to give up.
It's the most common thing is, right, growing up, you can be whatever you want in life. 18 comes, no, you can't. Go get a real job.
Yeah.
Grow up. It's definitely what I heard growing up. And thank goodness it's important to grow up, but it's important to still have fun. Embrace life the way that you desire and go build it the way that you really
Yeah,
desire.
that's important.
Absolutely. So with that in mind, a couple of quick questions for you. One, what is your definition of an authentic life?
An authentic life is all defined by what your values are, right?
Great.
If one of my prime directives is to find people's pains and help heal them, so if someone has a problem, you try to solve problems, right? You obviously want to pass on as much knowledge as you can to the future generations, and maybe you can make an impact on some of them, and maybe they pay it forward as well. Well, so, that's one. But authenticity is being authentic to yourself. So if you set clear goals, are you doing what you said you'd do? And if you keep your word to yourself, that's being authentic.
Absolutely. And that's, you're living the game. So obviously you've been very successful financially. What are you doing in your own life to continuously grow in your financial well-being?
Well, that's a broad one, but you have your companies or whatever you're running, and at least for me, and you nurture those, and you build relationships with your clients, your employees, your business partners. Right. Clients and business partners grow theirs because they tend to reciprocate, right? If you help them, they want to help you. That's important. Physically, you got to exercise every day and try to eat as good as you can and not do too many bad habits, right? And then spiritually, you have to have that quiet time to be present as much as you can. Be grateful, be thankful to God, everybody, whatever you believe in, It's important to spend time in that great gratitude area and thankfulness area. And that's it. It's not that tough, really. You just got to dedicate time to do that. And that's why I say when you're doing that, you schedule that on your phone. So you're like, okay, 30 minutes of gratitude, or maybe you're going to walk in the park or go to the gym and just put your headphones on and work out and be grateful at the same time. We call that net time, no extra time. Be grateful and work out. Cool, right? Then scheduling everything you need to do as far as physical activity, business execution. Just get a little organized. But we have phones now, so it's easy.
That's the one thing that I've taken from this is I love how just simple you are.
Yeah.
It's not over complex. Like
Life is simple in some ways.
If you want to win financially, start with your habits. Start with your mental, your physical, your spiritual. Because in context, as this quote reads, if you're here, you might as well become who you're destined to be to do the things you're destined to do.
Yeah.
You can't accomplish what you're actually destined to do, or let's eliminate even the word destined. You can't accomplish what you want unless you become more. Period.
Yeah.
And it's simple. Start with the basics. Get your health right. Get your spirit right. Get your mind right. Follow a schedule. Map out your life and execute.
It's really easy, actually, when it comes to mapping it out. It's just most people won't do it. They'll spend all this time doing all these other things, but except for working on themselves, which is, it's their choice.
Absolutely. What would you, if somebody's thinking right now, I want to map out my life, but I'm not really sure where to start. What would the process look like for you?
Physical, financial, spiritual. What do you want? What, $1 million? What? Weigh 175, be 12% body fat, have a VO2 max of this, be able to hike with my dog for 2 hours. Something like that. Spiritual, pray to Jesus every day for 5 minutes. Start there. Just very simple. Just what would your 5-year-old self tell you, your 10-year-old self, like, what would you want? I want $1 million. I want to be buff like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Lee, or whatever, and I want to be close with God. Well, what's your definition of success? What do you want? And just write that down first. If anything, take 1 minute and write down what you want. And you already know what you want. But some people are dumb and they'll be like, well, I don't know. I need to think about it. I'm like, well, what if someone had an AR-15 to your face and said, you have 10 seconds to think about it or your face will be blown off your body? Well, you're sure darn going to think about it. I know that sounds psycho, but just freaking write it down. It's that important. Your family's life depends on this. Your children's life, your grandchildren's life, your legacy, the guys and girls you work with. your mother's and dad, your mom and dad's life, your grandparents' life depends on you. And if it's that important, you have to treat the importance of goal setting like your life depends on it, because it is your life and your life does depend on it. But people put low value on their own life. It's just amazing. It baffles me.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had the choice of life or death, you would know exactly, you would know where to start with.
Yeah.
You know whether you want to be fit or not, and you know what that looks like.
Just tell yourself, just do this. Go grab a kitchen knife, put your hand on the table, just poke it a little bit on the top for a second, and be like, I'm going to give myself 30 minutes to write down my goals. If not, I'm going to plunge this knife through my hand. Just tell yourself that. Now, if you don't, plunge the knife through your hand. I guarantee you'll get it done quicker. But hopefully you don't plunge the knife through your hand. And you just do it. You're not going to plunge the knife through your hand. You're just going to get it done. But
Unless you're a psycho.
You have to almost shock yourself. Another way to do it that's maybe less obtrusive is just grab a rubber band, put it around your wrist, and pull it back this far and smack yourself with it. Feel that pain for a second. Just be present with it. And be like, okay, I'm going to get this done in 10 minutes. For every minute I don't get it, 5 minutes I don't get it done, I'm going to smack myself 5 times with the rubber band. That's just a brain trick to shock your mind into like, dude, what are you doing? I'm stinging myself, you know? I mean, whatever you need to do. It may sound psycho, but like, you got to force yourself to do it.
Absolutely.
It's the most valuable thing you'll ever do. Right?
Now, when it comes to schedule, obviously, we're talking about, quite frankly, the easy part. Like, you know who you want to be. You know what you want to do. Like, cut the shit. You know exactly what you want. And some people that don't know, they definitely can know where to start. They know the topics of life. What is it you want financially? What is it you want here? The execution.
Some people don't know. Some people have no ambition. Some people are like, well, I'm fine. It's okay that I'm fat. It's okay that I'm broke. It's okay that I'm on 5 different psychoactive adjusting medications so I don't jump off a cliff. It's okay. And I'm fine with that because I'm existing. There are people like that, a lot of them. And if they're okay with that and they're not hungry enough to want to break free from that, they're not. And you can't make them do it.
Not at all.
We all have a relative like that, or a friend.
Well, and it's easy to get caught up in that because you want to help them, but you can't.
No, I just divorced myself from them. People like that, I mean, you can offer a hand, but if they're, it's like sitting by radioactive nuclear waste. It's like you don't want to be exposed to that much. Like, you can offer to help and do something, but you don't want to be hanging around. If you have friends, like they say the 5 people you hang out with is who you become. Your friends should be way better than you, physically, spiritually, financially, way better. If you got a bunch of stoner friends, you're going to become a drunk stoner. It's like, why? They offer no value. They don't make you better. And you're probably not making them better. So it's probably best that you don't hang out with them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Then to add on to that, I always say, and I just wrote it in my book, they say, show me your top 5 friends and I'll show you your future. I say, show me your schedule and I'll show you your future. Because that's the reality, and connected to it, your environment has a big part of play, whether you execute.
Yep.
So let's say there's somebody that wakes up, they've mapped out their life, they know exactly what they need to do day to day to ensure that they make it happen. Speaking for my past self, there's days when I would wake up and I wouldn't want to execute. I did, thankfully. That's why we're sitting here right now. But what would you say to those people out there not executing still?
Just force yourself. I don't know. That's what I do. I wake up tired. Oh, man, I only slept 4 hours up late crunching numbers. Yeah, I don't know. I just want to, I was like, just do it. Just do it. Just get it done. Just go, man. Let's go.
Go through the motions.
Just get it done.
Might not be perfect.
No, just
go through the motions.
Yeah, like if you don't want to go to the gym, just go to the gym. Like, just go. And it doesn't mean you have to do everything perfect, like you said. Like, just show up and then get going. And then once you get going, you get momentum. Obviously, if you're sick or if you got some sort of catastrophe, reschedule, you know. But that shouldn't be a habitual thing.
Yeah. And
it should be a rare.
Even when you're sick, there's times that you can get up and go.
Most of the time when you're sick, you can work unless you're hospitalized or something, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. There's been very few times that I've actually been sick where I'm like, I cannot do anything today.
Yeah. You gotta force yourself.
I love it. So cut the excuses, cut the crap.
Yeah, just get done.
And what's your why, right? What you talked about, your family depends on this. Literally, quite literally, your family depends on
Yeah,
this.
your family depends on it. I mean, you're doing it for them, but also do it for yourself. I mean, you depend on you, and you just remove the hesitation. And then that's a tough one. Actually, it sounds easy, but removing your hesitation is just not dwelling in the hesitation. It's just moving to execution, deciding, and then to go execute.
Absolutely. I love it. So last couple questions here. If there was one last thing that you could leave with the audience today, what would that be?
Do your goals right now. Be very clear on them. Go write them down and then schedule them on your phone. That's it.
What scheduling app do you use?
Just your iPhone calendar, or if you have an Android, you have a calendar. Everyone has a calendar. Just use that.
Absolutely. I rely heavily on recurring events. That way I don't have to keep mapping out my day. Do you do the same, or do you schedule out every day individually?
It depends on the thing. If it's meetings and things are recurring, those things. If it's come and visit you on the podcast, I'm like, send me a calendar invite, because I don't just do remind me, bro. It's like, dude, if it's in the schedule, I'll be there. Let's go.
Absolutely. I love it. With that in mind, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thanks,
Is there
dude.
anything that me and my audience can be doing for you?
If you find, I'll go to my Dan's Millionaire Code at Dan's Millionaire Code. It's the Instagram. Make sure it's blue checked, because there's like 50 million fake accounts. If you find my stuff good, share it, follow it,
Awesome. And we'll be linking it down below so they'll get the right one.
Yeah, I try to post fresh information for people weekly, daily, weekly, depends on what it is, to help. And I don't sell a course. That's free.
You add value.
Yeah,
That's what
people
you do.
can take for what it is they want.
Amazing. Thanks so much, man.
Thanks, man.
Thanks so much for listening to the Journey to Authenticity podcast today. If you like what both myself and Dan had to say, be sure to like and subscribe. This helps me to get the most interesting and highly qualified guests to help you transform your life. Also, while I have you here, I want to genuinely gift you a gift coaching session from me to you, where we really will jump in and help you transform exactly what we talked about on this podcast. Initially, we're going to help you really build out that vision, that life vision. What is it exactly that you want to accomplish? Following along with the next 3 to 9 goals that you have set for your life, your relationships, or your business. From there, me and you are personally going to sit down and create a game plan. So it's not a matter of if you will succeed, it's a matter of when. If you're interested, go to braidenbelnap.com or the link below, and we'll go ahead and get started. Have a good day, everybody.